just about to dive into budget season and, kind of get distracted by that. So just a suggestion, maybe to add to your framework, but, the more transparency and the more information we can provide up front, the better.
Sure.
Any other comments or questions?
So I just wanted to add that the superintendent is sending out a message tomorrow to the community as well, and there's a little more context in there. I was just giving a sort of a high level to appreciate the comment on that. So, but yeah, we'll
All right. Thanks, folks.
take all of that into consideration.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Mrs. Alievich is ready. She's like, let's go. All right. Now I think we are ready for a roll call on the policy items.
Mr. Bott.
Yes.
Ms. Cheatham.
Yes.
Mr. Derflinger.
Yes.
Mr. Glassberg.
Yes.
Dr. Johnson Marcus.
Yes.
Ms. Colleen.
Yes.
Dr. Spigner.
Yes.
Mr. Suss.
Yes.
Ms. Zimmerman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you so much, Mr. Derflinger.
Thank you. I would like to move items D1 through 4 as listed on the agenda, please.
Thank you. Might I have a second? Mr. Glassberg, are there any questions or comments on the field trips, etc., listed in the curriculum items? I'm sorry, the field trips are jumping out at me. I always get very excited when I see them listed here. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Bott.
Yes.
Ms. Cheatham.
Yes.
Mr. Derflinger.
Yes.
Mr. Glassberg.
Yes.
Dr. Johnson Marcus.
Yes.
Ms. Colleen.
Yes.
Dr. Spigner.
Yes.
Mr. Suss.
Yes.
Ms. Zimmerman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you so much. At this time, the meeting is open to the public. Perhaps they were listening to Mr. Suss and they're on their way down to talk to us about the calendar. No? Anybody? Anybody? No? Still no new people? All right. Seeing none, closing that section of the meeting and turning to Mrs. Zimmerman for the announcements.
Thank you. I actually have a few of the same announcements that our student board member had, which is great. We're on the same page. So glad to see that. So at Moss and Campbell, the PTO-sponsored readathon fundraiser is now underway. Students in preschool through grade 4 are invited to log their reading minutes and share their page with family and friends to help raise money for our schools. Parents, you can please check the folders that your kids bring home for readathon flyers, or visit the PTO's social media pages for information. And they want to let you know that our students have already logged a total of 13,000 minutes read in just 2 days.
Yay.
So it's pretty impressive.
Love that.
Cupcake Wars are also upcoming for Moss and Campbell on Friday, February 6th, 6 p.m. in the Campbell Cafeteria. And if families are interested in participating, they can register with the PTO. Campbell is preparing for this year's Spring X, Secrets of the Sea, which will be held on Friday, March 27th. And the PTO would like to thank the 167 parents and community members who have already signed up to volunteer, and that's the highest number they've had in years.
Oh, wonderful.
So 167 volunteers for Spring X already. Edgar is hosting Thursday Threads this Thursday, January 29th. We'll be selling new merchandise during lunch. Students should bring cash to make purchases, and prices are on the Bulldog Brief. Girls Who Brunch is taking place on Sunday, February 8th, and there's 200 folks registered for that event as well. Registration is now open for Topgolf on Monday, March 23rd, and you can see the Bulldog Brief for more info on that. Rutgers Health is presenting the Mental Health Awareness Parent Workshop this Thursday, January 29th, via Zoom. I think we covered that already. PTC would like you to save the date for the Parents' Night Out event and silent auction fundraiser on Friday, May 8th at JR's Pub in Woodbridge. They're seeking in-kind donations or purchases from their Amazon wish list, and you can connect with them on their pages to coordinate that. A note that given our snow day on Monday, the new last day of school will be Monday, June 22nd, and the next Board of Education meeting is on Tuesday, February 10th at 8 p.m.
Wonderful. Great job. First time out.
I do.
Listen, and it's okay if you repeat some of the awesome things that our student board member shared, because they're worth repeating. We've got a lot of really great stuff going on, so thank you for that. All right, good humans. I believe we're at this point where I am going to move to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second? Don't be bashful. Y'all know you want to go. Mr. Glassberg. All in favor? All right. Good night, everyone.
Good evening, Metuchen. Welcome to the February 9th, 2026 meeting of the Metuchen Borough Council. Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act pursuant to Public Law 1975, Chapter 231. Said notice was published in the Home News Tribune on December 14th, 2025, posted in Borough Hall and on file in the clerk's office. All requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied. Please join us for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please. Ms. Zupan?
Councilmember Branch. Councilmember Hyman.
Here.
Councilmember Jethwani.
Here.
Councilmember Kandel.
Here.
Councilmember Sukan.
Here.
Council President Delia.
Here.
Mayor Bush.
Here. Do I have a motion to open the agenda session?
I make a motion to open the agenda session.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. At this time, are there any items for the agenda session?
I have one item, Mayor. I would like
Sure.
to, from the consent agenda, new business consent agenda, I'd like to remove Resolution 2026-87 so that could be voted on separately. That's resolution authorizing Bergen Biz New Jersey Cooperative Purchasing Alliance purchase for a police vehicle.
Okay. So we're removing that for a separate vote.
For a
Is that
separate
correct?
vote.
So it'll still be under the new business consent agenda. We'll just
Directly
use a separate
following.
item. Got it. Understood. Okay. So there's been that suggestion. Is there any others for the agenda session from any other council members? Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion to close the agenda
I
session?
make a motion to close the agenda
Been a
session.
motion. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. We'll see, we have a number of fine people here in the blue to support the possibility, after council consideration, of hiring a new police officer. Council President?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-76, appointing Thomas D. Murtha to the Borough of Metuchen Police Department.
There's been a motion. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations. I guess it's proper to refer to the officer as officer designee at this point, because we haven't pinned, I guess, Mr. Murtha yet. But if you could meet me in the front, I will issue the oath, and then we can move on with the pinning ceremony. I know. How are you?
Thomas.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, how you doing? Hi, oh, Mom. Great, nice to meet you. Just the two of you?
The family's over there, but yeah. Mom.
You want to hold this? You want to stand over here? Absolutely. Just repeat after me. I, Thomas D. Murtha,
I, Thomas D. Mertha,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the state of New Jersey,
and the state of New Jersey,
and the ordinances of
and the ordinances of
Borough of Metuchen,
Borough of Metuchen,
and obey all the rules
and obey all the rules
and regulations
and regulations
and lawful orders of
and lawful orders of
the Metuchen Police Department,
the Metuchen Police Department,
and faithfully discharge
and faithfully discharge
the duties of
the duties of
Metuchen Borough Police Officer,
Metuchen Borough Police Officer
according to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my
Oh,
ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations,
Thank
officer.
you, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, see you around, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.
You gotta sign here, you gotta sign here.
You have a pen? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Welcome. Congratulations.
Chief, floor is yours.
Thank you. So just to tell you a little bit about Thomas, he's a 2020 graduate of St. Rose High School. He attended Penn State University when he graduated in 2024. He graduated the Ocean County Police Academy in February 2025, and he worked as a special in Seagirt as a Special 1 or Class 1 and then Class 2 before coming to us. So it was a rigorous interview process. He did great, and he communications major, so we'll help you use that out in our borough. We're looking forward to having you aboard. You have some big shoes to fill with the retirement of Dan Granato, but we're happy to have you on board. And I appreciate all the blue in the back coming out to witness this. It just shows you what kind of family you're walking into. We're tight-knit. We have the council that supports us, VA that supports us, so we're lucky, and you're lucky to be here too. So, yep, got it.
Thank you. So I know we had a retirement, which is what Officer Murtha is replacing, but I think we have the highest current count of officers that we've had since the 1970s. Is that accurate? What are we up to, Chief, right now? We're at 33. So just thank you for everything you all do. This community is incredibly appreciative for the work that you put in. We know that it's not easy. We know there's a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings, a lot of tough situations. Our chief keeps us in the loop as a council and mayor on a number of the things that you have to deal with. But, obviously we have a lot of pride in our police department. We talk about it as often as we can. So thank you for all the work you do to help keep us safe and supported. Yeah. Yeah, you can slide out. We're going to move on to public comment. But just out of respect for those looking to address the council, if you could just take your socializing to the back. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And at this time, any members of the community wishing to address the council and mayor, the floor is yours. Just name and address for the record, please. Hang on, John.
Good evening. Donald Bouch, B-A-U-C-H, 66 Whitman Avenue. First, I just had a couple questions regarding how the committee functions in these meetings. Regarding comments with the public, will the public be offered the opportunity to comment on ordinance and resolutions that will be discussed during the rest of this meeting?
Okay, so just if you could ask all your questions. What was your first question? Because we didn't hear you. People were clapping back there.
Regarding comments, will the public be afforded the opportunity to comment on ordinance and resolutions that will be discussed during the rest of this meeting?
Yep. Okay.
What happened at the 126 meeting where there was no opportunity afforded? Was that just because of the snow and rushing, or what?
Are those
the
your
126 meeting, it was only the first initial public comments, and then that was it.
Is that all your?
Yeah.
Are those your two questions?
No, those are just committee questions.
Okay, just if you could.
Question.
Yeah, out of respect for your time, just whatever you have, just if we can answer them afterward, we'll do our best. Okay, so keep going.
Again, about the historic homes on what do you call it, on Amboy Avenue. Again, I'm very disappointed that these historic Civil War homes will be demolished. Regarding 280 Amboy Avenue, there remains 2 open windows despite bringing this matter to the attention of yourself, Mayor Bush, via email on 12/26, while the mayor stated in his reply to me on 12/18, these properties are privately owned, and I, the mayor, want to be clear at this point that the borough is not destroying this house, nor is there any borough effort to allow deterioration as a pretext for demolition. Doesn't the borough have some liability or culpability in the New Jersey Abandoned Property Act, specifically the section on demolition by neglect? That's a question. Also, in my 216 mayor to the email to the mayor, I discussed the removal of the gray siding from that house, but only relating to the removal being the first act in the destruction of the house. I attended the last historic committee meeting and raised my concern of the current condition of the 280 Amboy Avenue house, specifically the probability of lead exposure and discharge. I did this as I knew that meeting minutes would be reviewed by the mayor and council. With no contact from the committee and the borough since then, I find it necessary to bring my concern to further light. Did the contractor secure a permit for a removal of the siding? Are they approved for such work to the contractor? Was there a permit secured regarding lead discharge? If not, why not? If so, what were the lead test results before and after the gray siding was removed? As anyone can see, the current condition of this borough house has flaking paint chips and particles that are undoubtedly blowing in the wind into surrounding areas, including the Main Street sidewalk and the bus stop. As a house built during the Civil War that now explodes flaking paint and particles are with almost certainly containing lead. Certified lead testing should confirm this assertion. With the borough spearheading the effort to remediate this will the borough spearhead the effort to remediate this hazardous condition as the health and safety of our residents is at risk by contacting the local health department and/or the county departments of health for their assistance on next step efforts for containment. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are your comments and
Yes.
questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Bausch. Just under the Open Public Meetings Act, there is a requirement that we allow public comment, which we've done, I think, well before I was mayor or any of these council members were here. We've always allowed public comment even before it was required. It was part of our ordinance structure. So we'll continue to allow public comment. There's never been a time that we've had two series of comments. We just have offered one at the beginning as an opportunity to address the council. So every meeting, every single council meeting, members of the community, you being one of them, obviously, have a chance to come before the council and me and address us on anything, resolutions, considerations, make comments, ask questions as you have. But it is public comment. Obviously, it's not public questions. But in view of the fact that some of the questions can be answered, we're going to do our very best to answer some of what you've asked tonight. Specifically, the context of the historic preservation, I'll reiterate what I said last time, which is that we too are very concerned about some of the older buildings in our community, some of the historic buildings. We all have the same feelings towards them and about them that you and others do. But when these buildings are on private property, there are certain rights, many rights actually, that the individual property owners have. And the reason that matters like permits are required, for example, to be taken out before demolition, and because of issues like you raised with respect to concerns on, and I don't know that this specifically is a concern, our borough administrator will address this in a second, but with respect to issues like lead, for example, the reason you have to have a permit is to make sure that whatever sort of remediation, whatever sort of process is done safely, because there is no state in the country that's more concerned about resident safety than New Jersey. And sometimes it's so much concern that there are onerous regulations and requirements, both at the state and actually county even, and local levels. I'll allow our attorney for a quick answer, if we can, on any concern with respect to the Abandoned Property Act. I can't imagine that's applicable here.
Yeah, I don't, look, I'm not intimately familiar relating to, the specific property you're talking about, but I'm not quite sure that that would apply in this instance. I believe it's a private property owner that's paying their taxes, so I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, it's not abandoned, it's just somebody's wishing, she's moved, I understand that the person who owns this, the landlord, has moved some of the former renters out in an attempt to, whatever her next step is with the property, and we all are concerned about what potentially that could be. So that's what's going on. Yeah, it's in process. Otherwise, every single building in New Jersey where someone is transitioning to the next phase would be considered abandoned under the Abandoned Property Act.
That's not the case.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that, and then obviously there's the last couple of questions all dealt with this presumption of some issue with lead, and I'm going to let the borough administrator address that because I don't know that there is.
Yeah, first off, lead remediation and the rules of governing lead in the state of New Jersey mostly apply to indoors. It has nothing to do with the outside exteriors when you're checking for lead in the legislation that's come through recently. As far as the property is concerned, All permits were taken out the way they should be, and there was no concern or consideration for anything that was suggested. We have our construction official who, we follow the letter of the law, the UCC codes. All of that is governed by the state of New Jersey, and all of that has been followed. Thank you.
Any other questions, or I should say comments from the public? If you could just come to the microphone, please, just name and address for the record. Thank you.
Denise Rivke's 130 Woodbridge Avenue.
I'm sorry, what is your name? I heard Woodbridge Avenue.
Denise Rivke's.
Thank you.
I moved here just a few years before Mayor O'Brien, and the whole episode of the Woodmont properties and the disposition of the property that this building replaced. And I just wanted to say to you, I'll just say first that I have been a Democrat my whole life until HIPAA. So I'm not against any of you. I'm a scientist. I'm stating to you a fact that you might want to understand about what is going on in this city. I witnessed the conversation between Mayor O'Brien and Mrs. Zerby, where he told her, basically, Mrs. Zerby, if you don't sit down and shut up, I'll tear the whole thing down and build a new one. And I can tell you, as a person who wasn't from here and who was new, I knew exactly that that was the plan before he ever said it. Okay? This is what people remember. And second of all, a couple of meetings later, a lady who was retiring from being a teacher came here and wanted to know, to the old building and to the town council meeting, and she wanted to know what was the rent on the apartments going to be, because she wanted to sell her house and move there. And the mayor told her, ma'am, those apartments are not intended for you. These are the things that people remember. So if you're wondering why people come and ask you all these questions, it's because they feel that they have been run over by not just things going on here, not just going on in this town, but going all the way back to the Planning Commission and the institution of city planners in the 80s, which I remember specifically myself, because it was a debate where I grew up. So nobody should think that people do not remember what happened and what was on the radio when they were growing up. And thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rickies. Any other comments from the community? Name and address for the record, please.
Oh, Lila Weisblum, 115 Rutgers Street.
Go ahead, Lila.
I just wanted to suggest an idea I had for this upcoming summer to host, to potentially host a blood drive, maybe downtown, considering we recently, every year at Metuchen High School, we have a annual blood drive, and it's led by Robert Wood Johnson and Michael Leviton, who's the business liaison of the, the blood organization there, and I reached out to him about, if there's anything I can do to help him spread his, project, and he suggested that, he informed me that there's a significant blood shortage during the summer due to the fact that they can't travel around schools and only 3% of New Jersey donates. And so he suggested that potentially we could host a blood drive here downtown, open to the public, and they facilitate it, and just, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you. And first of all, I really appreciate, I've known you since, not to embarrass you here, since you've been very young, and I'm proud to see you here and speaking before us today, and I appreciate the emails that you sent me, and I encourage you to come and speak before us, and not everybody does that when I respond, and you did, so let me just first of all commend you on that, but also say to you that obviously I'm aware, just as a public official, about the need for blood in particular right now. There's been a shortage, and that's been advertised quite widely, so it's a really noble cause that you're working on, And there are a number of private organizations that you might want to reach out to. And in particular, the Metuchen Downtown Alliance, if you're interested in something downtown and you want to coordinate, I know that at some point, I don't want to speak out of turn here, but there was some discussion of the potential health fair and the possibility of coordinating with that at some point when that's happening. So I would encourage you to reach out to Dawn Mackey, who is the executive director of the Metuchen Downtown Alliance. We work very closely with Dawn on borough matters downtown. And she would be a really good person to reach out to see if there's any way that you could, hop into that and bring your contacts and connections into whatever they're working on downtown. So that's just something that comes off the top of my head. And we have our liaison to our health commission right here.
Not the health commission, the Board of Health. CC me on that because I would like to partner if Dawn and the MDA decide to do something. The Board of Health is looking for projects to help with the community, so I would love to help you with that. So reach out to me. You can find me.
I will.
On the board. Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Good job, Lila.
Great job, Lila. Any other members of the community looking to address the council?
Hello, Mayor, Town Council. Linda George, 23 West Walnut Street.
Mary Ellen Brown, 120 Beacon Hill Drive.
We are here today as the former and current president of the Friends of the Metuchen Library to provide an update on our Next Chapter campaign. As you may recall, we kicked it off in September. The mayor was there and Councilperson Giovanni was there. And we aim to raise $125,000 to commemorate the town's 125th anniversary. And we're pleased to announce that we exceeded our goal and we reached $136,000 to date. Thank you.
These funds are already at work. If you go to the library tomorrow, you'll see independent study pods on the main floor. There's new carpeting and furniture in the community room, an expanded teen space, and the work on the maker space is ongoing. The improvements to the children's room is what is on deck. We have a lot of people to thank for this incredible achievement we've had. That is, of course, the generous support of the contributing members of the community, library advocates in town, the business community that stepped up, and the Borough Council, Mayor Bush, Councilwoman Jethwani. So thank you so much for your support. To anyone here or watching, we are going to continue to take contributions through the end of the month because we are overachievers, and everything we raised will be going to those aforementioned projects, and then we will pick up with our regularly scheduled fundraising. You can find more information at our website, which is fotml.org. Thank you.
So much.
Excellent. Great job. And Ms. George, and obviously appreciate all of your hard work.
It's good to go out with a bang.
All right. But you'll still be involved, right? Yes. Okay, great. And Ms. Collins Brown, wonderful that you're being involved in this in a greater capacity. So it's great to see all the transition of volunteers and working together. Well, maybe it's not that you raised more than 125. Maybe it's just that we turned 136 years old and the 11 years went quick. But I think it's wonderful that you've done that. I know that was a big goal of yours to get to that $125,000. We had that press conference with our state senator and members of our assembly with the money that the state secured for us last year. I think it was $200,000. This is just more, great work, and obviously there's some other things in the pipeline with the state that we're hopeful for. So great job, to both just to the Friends and also to the library board as well. We appreciate you. Anybody else from the community looking to address? Yes, Council, just name and address for the record, please. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name's Greg Zalkowski. Been in Metuchen a long time. Living on 9B-3 Redfield Village. I was raised here, graduated Metuchen High, 1980. Give you an idea. Tonight when we leave here, my wife and I, we've been in Redfield for 23 years. We're not going to have any place to park. This is not a new situation. I just retired from New Jersey Transit, locomotive engineer. I sat outside in front of where I live for the last 20 years, 2 and 3 hours, waiting for a spot. Often getting my wife aggravated because she wanted to know why I wouldn't come in the house. She's an early person. We're parking further and further away. We're getting tickets. We're on our 3rd ticket. People are getting towed. And I'm just asking if you could bring up this topic and look for a solution. The problem's not going to go away. You might not know it, but I've been living this for 20 years. I had a very critical job, had to be arrested, couldn't be late. If I was late, they have to know the train. They could have put me in a hearing. You know, my job would have been on the line. Sitting out, can you imagine sitting outside your home 2 to 3 hours every night, talking to your friends that you work with 24/7, talking to my friends on the West Coast or in a different time zone, telling me that they couldn't live like that? But that's how we live. And we've been living it, but now it's a problem. We're on our third ticket. The whole neighborhood is posted with signs. You can't read the ordinance. The bolt goes right through the ordinance thing. These aren't people in the neighborhood. They're not overflow from the railroad. They're not overflow from Walgreens. These are people who live in the community. I saw some good things there in a year and a half. It was interesting and nice to see a new police officer sworn in. But I'm not good with time. About a year and a half, resting from my job. I didn't know that downstairs was being surrounded by Metuchen police. You got out of a very bad neighbor who was dealing drugs and money laundering. Another time I heard I was resting for train. I'm an evening person. Well, I'm nervous. I don't do this for a living. My wife's a morning person. I try to sleep, so I'm rested for my job. And I heard a ruckus. I looked out the window and I saw nothing but fire engines. I saw an army of people helping the community. I saw 8 people lose their place to live. I'm seeing those people right now have a hardship. The other night I seen their cars getting towed, 1 in the morning. You know, I don't know what to say. I'm just saying maybe you can hold off on the tickets until you can work with the people who own the property. You know, if there was a board meeting that we knew about, I could have said this months ago. This like been as a matter of fact, I don't really know my neighbor. My wife runs into him. I believe the fire chief lives behind me, and he had a petition about 20 years ago. And people have driveways. They don't use the driveway. They park on the street. I get it. They don't want strangers parked, but we're not strangers. I've been in town since 1962, mostly, you know. I wish I could buy a house in Metuchen, but anyhow, they use their driveways. They don't use their driveways. They put their municipal garbage cans in the street so nobody can park in the street. And I guess it bothers them when they come home and they see a car. But these are local residents that have nowhere to park. And like I said, they're not overflow for the train station or anything like that. And we're going to go home, and we're getting further and further away. I now have my wife texting me in the morning first of all, her first ticket was right before, my mouth's getting dry. My first ticket,
Take your time, sir. It's
was
really
right
okay.
before Christmas. She's getting up early, working hard, and she's got a ticket on the window. She gets stressed out on her way to work. Then we get,
She's good to you.
she is very good. But we worked hard our whole life. Now with the ice storm, it's even worse. There's less parking, you know. There's no solution. We're just parking further and further and further away. Now we're parking on the other side of Amboy Avenue. My wife almost got hit by a car. This is helping, so thank you very much. My wife almost got hit. I could show you my text message, but I have my phone off. Every morning I say, please text me. I get a message, I'm freezing in my car. But, you know, she's getting stuck in the snow. We're worried about getting stuck and having problems. We're just going further and further away. I mean, if there could be we've called here to see if there was some kind of permit we could get for resident parking. The sign's a little confusing. It says non-residents. We're not lawyers. We weren't part of the ordinance. So we learned by getting surprise tickets. That's how we weren't. So here we are. So if there's anything, you could contact the owners, the management. I've called them. They told me to move. My solution is, I don't know how grants and stuff, the garages, they have garages there. We don't live by a garage. We don't even live on the street. Some of the cars that get ticketed actually live on Sydney and Hanson. So I don't get it, because that's their front door and they can't park at their front door. We're in the middle. We're not on the street. We're not by a garage. And the garages are not user-friendly. They were built a long time ago, very narrow, probably when they had crank-up cars and all that. But, my solution is give them a grant, knock down the garages, create new parking. But, just the whole neighborhood is stressed out, getting tickets, worried about getting towed. They get towed 1 in the morning. They get up to work their jobs. Some of the people are in apartments that were burnt down. And, I don't know where they live for a year, but, I come home and I'm seeing them getting towed 1 in the morning. And that's no way to live. So I'm just asking that you can have maybe another meeting, bring this up, come up with a solution, involve the owners of the property, something.
Well, you did the right thing coming here and talking to us about it. This is the way it's supposed to work.
It's my first for me in my lifetime, so.
Well, it's a good thing, and you got it off your bucket list to come to a government meeting and raise your concerns. Mr. Zolkowski, I appreciate you coming. We've had some real issues with the management company at Redfield Village, and we're in touch with them. You're not the first person to raise this with us. We're working with our police chief, who's sitting behind you.
Well.
Yeah, and he understands some of the concerns. He's brought them up to me. I know that he's spoken to some of the council members about it, and of course, our borough administrator is working on this. So I'm going to turn this over to our borough administrator, just to let you know the progress. By no means is there a solution that we can provide for you tonight, but this is one of those issues that's top of mind right now. So I'm going to turn over to Ms. Pearlstein for a progress report, if you will.
Yeah, so the chief and I are waiting to hear back from the management company to have a sit-down with them regarding steps that can be taken to resolve this issue. One of the reasons why enforcement and the signs went up is because there's a real concern about emergency vehicles getting down the streets at night and the flow of traffic there. If there was, and there has been emergencies in the past, as you've referenced in your commentary, it's a real public safety issue. So we are looking into alternatives, but we need to speak to the management because this is really a management issue. As you've mentioned, they do have garages. As we found out, I'm not so sure that all of those garages are rented to residents.
They aren't.
So that's an issue that we're going to be addressing with them. So we are in the midst of conversations and dialogue. The chief has been reaching out to the management, and we are going to be having a meeting very shortly to talk about some solutions. Okay?
Right, I appreciate that, but the garages aren't user-friendly. They were built, I don't know, in the 40s. We grew up with a kid that, he was actually killed in an accident. I changed his clutch on his truck. His parents were the superintendents. It appears to me, when I was younger, I grew up on Jonesdale Avenue, my grandfather's house. He bought it like for $7,000 in 1943.
Wow.
So anyway, when we were younger, the mom really didn't drive. Stores weren't open on Sundays. It was a family day on Saturday, a church day on Sunday. I don't even remember anybody working over, but most of the people in those apartments that I was aware of, they had one car. That was the only car in the family. Now the whole family is, struggling. Our son is out on his own, doing well, but, you have the mom, the dad, and several kids, driving. For emergency vehicles, you take Hanson, for example, probably the worst, or I would say Sydney. Those vehicles are the homeowners. They're not using their 100-foot driveways. They're intentionally putting their vehicles on the street so nobody else can park there. And then when their vehicles aren't there, they'll put the garbage cans in the street. I think they should put them on,
So somewhere there's a resolution.
Right.
Whether it satisfies everyone is probably unlikely, but there's something that we might be able to do. And at the end of the day, ordinances are laws. And so, the management company has to follow those. And we're going to be pretty stringent and insistent with them on this. That's been part of the plan. I don't want to reveal too much publicly, but those garages are an important part of the plan because they're required to be rented to residents.
They should just bulldoze them and make more
Well,
parking
maybe,
spots.
again, without understanding too much, we have to at least give them an opportunity to talk to us and give us their side and their perspective, and we have to figure out the code and everything else. But the reality is that there's got to be something better than you sitting out the amount of time you worried about you're concerned about your spouse. Although that's not okay. And you are correct about some of the I was there the day of the fire at Redfield Village and seeing those residents and hearing what they're going through now. That's not okay. So
Right,
we've
it's
got
a hardship, and
yeah.
I know you have more important problems. That's why situations.
a pretty big
that's
problem.
why I waited to be last. I know I took a lot of your time, but at risk. Tonight we'd be at risk at two $49 tickets. That's $100 a night. In a month, that's $3,000. We don't know when we're going to get a ticket. I'd be better off sleeping in the car. If that makes sense to you. Yeah. But I appreciate your time. And
we're going to do our very best to try to resolve. It's not always easy in our position because we've got to balance the interest, but you've given us a very compelling stories that we need to take back to the situation and figure it out.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Zolkowski. Thank you. And thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other members of the community looking to address the council? Okay. Seeing none, I want to say to Mr. Bausch, because you had asked us about public comments before, I may have misspoken slightly because it's not the only time to speak publicly is when you have public comment on for any matters. We also have ordinances, and then there's a public hearing specific. So for example, tonight, which is our next phase of this meeting, we have a public hearing with respect to a bond ordinance for paving, which includes the paving, believe it or not, of the Edgar Middle School parking lot and the pool parking lot, which is the same parking lot. And that's music to many people in this community's ears. Whether it's music to your ears or not, I have no idea, but I'm just telling you that's the ordinance that you'll be able to have a public comment on should you choose, because we're about to have a hearing on that within a couple seconds, okay?
And that's at the second reading. An ordinance, in order to adopt an ordinance.
Right.
There's a first reading and a second reading. There's no public, hearing at the first reading.
Right. You'll hear, like, when we do we're going to do an ordinance, which is second reading of an ordinance, and we're going to have the public hearing. Then we'll go into ordinances tonight, which we're announcing for the first time, and setting a hearing date at the next meeting, and you'll be able to address us publicly on that, okay? All right, so there's always an opportunity to give us your feedback. Council President?
Yes, I make a motion to approve Borough Council meeting minutes of January 26, 2026.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions for that one? I don't think so. Okay, good. Here we are. Public hearing on the ordinance. Go ahead, Council President.
Ms. Zuban, would you please read ordinance 2026-02 by title only?
Ordinance 2026-02, bond ordinance appropriating $4,503,098 and authorizing $3,050,000 bonds or notes of the borough for various road and paving improvements and purposes authorized to be undertaken by the Borough of Metuchen and the County of Middlesex, New Jersey.
All right. At this time, I'm going to open the public hearing for ordinance 2026-02 as I referenced. Anyone wishing to address? Yes, go ahead. Mr. Bausch.
Regarding the repaving, again, I
know you already did this, but before you, just name and address for the record, please.
Okay.
Just name and address for the record, please, one more time.
Donald Bauch, Bauch, 66 Whitman Avenue.
Thank you very much, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. Have bids and competitive bids been sought and received? If so, when? If not, anticipated when? Are these bids available by request via open public records, Oprah, with the borough clerk? I'm not sure if...
Is that your question?
That's one question.
Keep going.
Okay. If before 126, are there two separate bids? If so, one for the road maintenance and the other for Edgar School parking lot repaving project? If not, why not? If not, isn't a requirement of the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development that the project be standalone project with funds only used for the intended purposes? I was on the, by the way, I was on the borough website the morning of 126 viewing and printing this ordinance in preparation for that evening's meeting, council meeting. Later that afternoon, on the same day, at 2:55 p.m., I needed to secure some more information from this ordinance, and I was on the website already, so I just opened the ordinance via the website. I was set back when I realized that the bond amount increased by $150,000 in a matter of 2 hours, from the morning till the afternoon. Why was this bond amount increased? I would strongly recommend that basic professional practices, that any time a revision of an already delivered or posted document be so identified with a revision number and footnote added that explains the reason for the revision. Perhaps this could be rule number 28 of the borough's rule list. Regarding the borough's down payment that increased from $159,000 to $160,000 from the adopted budget or budgets for down payment for the capital improvement purposes, clearly that budget line item had adequate funds for the increased $9,000. What is or are the remaining balances of these budgets line items, these budget line items? When these two detailed projects going to start, when are they going to start? I would guess the parking lot in front of the pool would start and finish before the pool opens. obviously, for obvious reason. And then the school parking lot section to start after the school year ends this late spring. I mean, makes sense.
That it?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think you're getting a little ahead of yourself, Mr. Bausch. So first of all, as a matter of course, the money, we don't go out to bid on this we don't go out to bid on this project until the money is allocated. So we need the ordinance to pass before we go out to bid. That's just a natural part of the process in local government. But everything we do that, unless it falls within one of the exceptions of the Open Public Records Act, is public. So if there's something, if bids, for example, come in, you have the ability to make a public records request for that. And I think the fact that you've asked that question, once they've been received, obviously you have a chance to review them. But this is highly regulated stuff. This is not like one of those things that we can just pull a fast one on. Not that anyone's ever trying to do that anyway. This is stuff that the local public contracts law governs in a very, very stringent way. It's one of the reasons that projects take so long in New Jersey and around the country, because they're so concerned about process and fairness and deliberation that it slows intentionally the process down. And so, this has been something that was part of a federal grant. Federal grants, for example, are something that our administration has said to me, unless this is a huge amount of money that we're getting from the federal government, let's maybe not apply for these so often because of the amount of hoops and paperwork that's required to make sure you produce these things. So we are extremely careful on all this stuff. And the reason that the process hasn't been determined yet is because we haven't allocated the funds yet, and we are not allocating the funds until and unless this passes tonight as a second reading, and then the period has to pass of how many days after an ordinance passes? 20 days. So that's what that is. But at the end of the day, if you want to see this, it's publicly available, and you'll be able to see that. But they haven't been received yet. We haven't gone out to bid yet, but we hope to do that, and then sometime later, way later in the year. But also, the budget that you're referring to hasn't been settled yet. We haven't established the budget yet for these numbers. Go ahead. Yep.
So in all cases, you can't go out to bid until you've allocated the funds and you have the funds accessible and through the governing body. That's what we're doing now. The next phase will be, we'll develop a bid spec. We did this before. Our usual and customary processes, we do the capital ordinances all at the same time during the budget introduction. But because we have a road that we received a grant for, a bike grant for on Hillside Avenue, we wanted to get this going so we could get it paved. So what happens is, once the funds are allocated, then our engineer will do a bid spec. The bid spec will be on the website and will be out, it's usually at least a month. And then we will publicly open the bids in these council chambers at a date to be determined. It's all advertised in the bid spec that's on the website. And then once they go through and analyze and make sure all the documents are there and everything, then we will award the bid. That is the process.
Okay.
Real quick.
Well, I asked you if you were finished with your questions, and you said you were.
Yeah, but I have a...
Last question, and then we really had to move on.
I mean, it's a new bid. I mean, it's a new ordinance. It's 2026-02. So why did it increase by $150,000?
We don't, I mean, I don't know off the top.
Was there some recommendation by somebody?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. There's a lot,
so it's just,
there's more than just the Edgar Middle School parking lot. There's also the bike lanes. There's also a couple of roads that we tend to pave. I don't know. Bottom line, it's being done right. So I'm not sure exactly why that number changed. Maybe the number was wrong and had to be replaced, but the bottom line is it's all being done correctly, and you'll be happy to know that your government cares about this stuff. Go ahead, Dennis.
Yeah, I mean, there are times where there are documents put up that are in draft form. I mean, all the documents that are posted are, to the best of the ability, within, I believe it's 48 hours, Deb, you do, or Thursday before the meeting, or Friday before.
Or at least 48 hours, but usually Friday.
Yeah. And so it's to the best of the ability at that snapshot. I mean, the agenda and Deb, and I can tell you other municipalities don't post the backup documents like Deb does, that it's just the agenda. And that the resolutions are not necessarily available until, because all the resolutions are considered draft until the council votes on them. And they're subject to change, as well as the ordinances. Every ordinance, every resolution, I mean, when you take, action tonight, you have the ability to change anything. So what was posted on the website in terms of resolutions, that's, could be outdated, by a motion in a second.
What matters is what we vote on, not what's on the website. But ultimately, it's important for us to get that information as quickly as we possibly can. And sometimes we get it out so quickly, and I'm not saying that's what happened here because I don't know exactly what you're referring to, but sometimes we get it out so quickly and we say, oh, actually, it should read this way. And that's a normal part of the process of government. We're no different than any other organization where sometimes we put something up too soon, we hit send too soon, whatever. I don't know that happened here, but you could be assured that everything you're describing is governed by the public contracts law in New Jersey, which is one of the most stringent and careful processes in the country. Okay. We are now going to move on to the ordinance introduction. I'm sorry, the public comment, the hearing's over. Now, Council President, you want to make the motion to pass?
I do. I want to make a motion to pass ordinance 2026-02 on second reading and published according to law.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please, Ms. Zupan?
Okay, Councilmember Hyman?
Aye.
Councilmember Jethwani?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Sukhan?
Yes.
Council President Telia?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to move on to ordinance introduction, for which there is no public hearing. Council President?
Ms. Zupan, would you please read ordinance 2026-03 by title only?
Ordinance 2026-03, ordinance to set the minimum and maximum wage ranges for certain borough employees, amending ordinance 2026-01.
Thank you. I move that ordinance 2026-03 be passed on first reading, published according to law, and a public hearing set down for Monday, February 23rd, 2026.
Thanks. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Hyman?
Yes.
Councilmember Jethwani?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Sukhan?
Yes.
Council President Telia?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. We have a report by our Borough Administrator.
I just want to clarify the roads that, sorry about that. I just want to clarify the roads that were included in for this bond ordinance that you all just passed. The roads are Hillside Avenue, Highland Avenue, Rector Street, Buchanan, Worcester, Lake Ave, Voorhees, Colonial Court. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Council President Delia?
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing for myself today, but you will notice we are one council member light. Councilmember Branch could not make it today because he got caught up in all the mess, which I'm sure a lot of our community got caught up in today with New Jersey Transit, both in the morning and then, signed my understanding, they had additional problems this evening. So Councilmember Branch could not be here, but he did ask me to let everyone know about a couple things from Rec, specifically the Sweetheart Dance. Registration is open, and this is a direct quote, "Don't miss out on the hottest ticket in town." So check that out if you're interested in attending the Sweetheart Dance. And also, they are working to finish up the details for Buddy Bowling, and that information is going to be coming very, very soon. So keep a lookout for that, and that's my report.
Excellent. Thank you, Council President. Councilmember Sukhan?
Yes, the Arts Council's first meeting of the year was postponed due to weather and will take place on Monday, February 23rd, 7:30 p.m. in the Senior Center. They encourage members of the public to attend and bring ideas for the 2026-2027 seasons. The Shade Tree Commission met last week. Their Arbor Day event will be held Friday, April 24th at 3:30 p.m. at the old Franklin Schoolhouse, which will receive 2 new trees. And they are working on plans for the spring planting, and those dates are forthcoming. And lastly, the Green Team is happy to announce that they're now openly seeking volunteers. This group will focus on bringing the community members together who want to make positive, tangible impact in our borough. They will work on projects that focus on topics like local environmental improvements, energy initiatives, food programs, climate planning, and recycling, just to name a few. If you're interested or have questions, please reach out to me directly at msukhan@metuchen.com. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Kendall?
Yep, I just have a pool commission report. I know it was about 8 degrees outside this morning, and it doesn't make any sense to talk about the pool, but here we are.
Oh, but it does.
Yeah,
More the
I mean,
reason.
it's hard to envision it, but First, I want to thank Brandon for producing a fantastic promotional video for pool membership for the upcoming season, highlighting some of the features of the pool, the dedicated staff and management, and also featuring some testimonials from pool members. If you want to check it out, it's posted on the Borough's and the pool's Facebook pages. Second, the Borough has issued an RFP for concession stand operators for the 2026 season. As many people will remember, we were unable to fill that spot last year, so we are starting the process earlier this year than we ever have, I think. And based on the interest that we received at the concessionaire's open house late last year, we're hoping to receive applications this year in response to the RFP. If members of the public are aware of any concession operators that may be interested, they are free to go out and speak to any potential operators about the RFP. And I encourage them to do that. Finally, the commission will be meeting tomorrow night at Borough Hall at 7:30, and we'll be reviewing last year's numbers in context of determining appropriate membership rates for the 2026 season. The public, as always, is welcome to attend. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. And Councilmember Jithwani.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had a couple of items. Of course, we already heard from the Friends of the Metuchen Library, so just want to echo my kudos to the Friends, and of course, their support, along with the support from the grant from the state. The library's been able to continue to make upgrades, and just to reiterate that the upgrades that are being made are a direct feedback from the strategic plan and the community survey that they did last year. So it really, it's great to see these things moving based on what the community wanted as part of the library's We Heard You initiative. So just to another thanks to them for that. Also, just want to mention an upcoming fun event, Thursday, February 12th at 7 p.m. The library is holding a book bedazzling event for grades 6 and up, including adults. And because the supplies will be provided, so registration is required, and you can check the library website for that. The next Library Board of Trustees meeting is being held tomorrow, Tuesday, February 10th at 7 p.m. in the library's community room. As always, I also just want to thank the EMS and thank the volunteers who are assisting our residents, especially during these frigid days and nights. And finally, just wanted to give a FPC food pantry update. Right now, the main need continues to be microwave meals and snacks that can be eaten easily without kitchen preparation. So please, if you can, continue to donate those types of items. And just a note that the food pantry is currently serving about 100 people a week in partnership with Elijah's Promise Soup Kitchen and Rutgers University. So we appreciate all that they're doing for our community. Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Hyman?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm going to just say the Parade Commission is working already on Memorial Day Parade, which should bring some sunshine into your minds. And the front-running theme, I believe, is Our Neighbors, Our Heroes. But we do have to vote on that at our next meeting. I'm going to veer away from that and just, I'm going to remind people to go to, you can just Google Metuchen Borough Master Plan, and I believe the survey for our Community Vision Survey has been extended through February, and encourage everyone to participate in that survey for the master plan. If you have any questions about what the master plan is, you can find that on that page as well. And that's it. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Branch is not here. I'm going to give a couple things to say. I had a great meeting in Washington for the U.S. Conference of Mayors last week. Was it last week? Week before last? I don't even remember, my head's spinning. Last week, the week before last week, I think it was. It was the week before last week. All right. We're all blending together here. Really great opportunity to speak to our representatives. I had, with a couple other mayors, I had an hour-long conversation with Senators Booker and then Senator Kim on Capitol Hill. We spoke to Governor Sherrill's federal representative about some of the issues that are affecting us in particular, and it's an interesting dynamic right now, actually. The current bill right now, the current Homeland Security bill, which has been held up for various reasons associated with some of the politics in Washington and nationally, actually has a line item in there for $1,023,000 for our emergency services center. So it's moving. It's in and around the houses. It passed the House. It got rejected by the Senate as part of a deal with the White House. And now there's going to be another bill, and it's possible that our line item, which is not the only one in there, obviously, it's from line items from across both parties, from across the country is going to be in there. So there's a lot of talk about whether that's going to happen. The deal that was struck was to keep the government open for some period of time, but understand that that deal involves our $1 million. And so what happens in Washington affects us, and this is an example of how. And both senators were committed to trying to help us bring that home, in spite of some of the politics associated with the Capitol Hill madness, I guess is the only way to describe it. So there's that. We also had some really, really productive discussions about some of the issues nationally that are affecting our communities. And I'm really excited when we learned that last week I got a phone call that Shanur Culkin, our community neighbor, who was at Delaney Hall for I think 60 days, 67 days, was home in Metuchen and enjoying his time with his wife that he missed so much, and she missed him. And it was really a heartwarming homecoming, but it also raises all the other concerns about other people, and obviously people in our community who may have trouble sleeping at night because of not knowing really what's next. They could be law-abiding residents, and they're just, obviously in a concerned state. And I appreciate our police chief and our police department for working together to help clarify the role of our police department in these situations. And so that was a really important thing and step that we were able to take. So that for information on that, you can see it on our borough website. That's a letter or a document that was signed by both our chief of police and me that clarifies the role of local police departments with respect to immigration matters. So that's that. Appreciate everyone's patience. The snow is not melting as fast as everybody would like, but that's something beyond government control. But I do appreciate our Director of Office of Emergency Management, as well, our coordinator, I should say, of Office of Emergency Management, as well as our DPW for cleaning up around town as residents have come up with some concerns. They've messaged us. We've gotten through that. So even after the storm, there was some cleanup associated with that. And as soon as they caught up with their sleep, they were able to fix some of that up. So our town looked very, very good compared to some other places. I'll tell you, compared to Washington, D.C., where in major roads there was only one lane, it's pretty remarkable how just a couple hundred miles can affect a community snow response. But here in Metuchen, we still seem to know, in spite of the fewer storms that we've gotten over the last 10 or 20 years, our response is still strong. So thank you. With that, we're going to move on to our new business consent agenda. Council President?
Thank you, Mayor. I make a motion to approve the new business consent agenda resolutions 2026-77 to 2026-86 and 2026-88.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-87, authorizing Bergen Bids New Jersey Cooperative Purchasing Alliance purchase for a police vehicle.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I was going to say, any abstentions?
I need to abstain.
Okay, abstention from Council President Delia. Thank you. Okay, Council President?
Yes. Lastly, I'd make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-89, authorizing the payment of the bill list in the amount of $283,989.48.
Thanks. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
I make a motion to adjourn.
It's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, everyone.